I'll pose that back to the group because negative press, negative comments on social media are a very legitimate, real part of being a big-time football player in 2023. So, Jerry, I'll start with you, and then we can go around the room. When you guys get that negativity, when people are telling you about yourselves, how do you handle that adversity?
I just look at it how Elson talked about it last episode, just turning off all your social media and just not feeding into that negative effect because that's something that most athletes struggle with, whether it's football, basketball, soccer, all that. So for me, me personally, I just won't go on Twitter or I just try to avoid just looking at that just because I know how it can affect me and my performance. So I just try not to look at that.
Yeah, I think, that negative press, looking at stuff on Twitter, you like to think that you can, overlook some of that stuff, but just being a human being, that stuff really gets you. So you got to really do your best not to look at that stuff. I had just read something about me before last game, and, it kind of was in my head a little bit, and I think it probably helped me have a better game this last game, but it kind of made me reevaluate, my social media plan, and now I'm deleting Twitter and only going to be on Instagram just to post stuff here and there, but it can turn into a big issue if you allow it to be. So I think that the big thing is just kind of stay off of it. But I think a lot of people don't realize how, you just send off a tweet when you're emotional during a game or something and how that can affect a college kid. I'm playing this game and on Monday I have to go take an exam. And I took an exam in the hotel on Friday and the next day I got to play a football game. I'm a college kid.
Right.
And I think some people just kind of forget that when they're watching the game and kind of seeing us like that.
And man, it's not even just us; it's our families as well. My mom is a keyboard warrior to defend me. Shout
out Miss Dawkins, by the way.
Shout out my mom. But people aren't even really saying bad things, but my mom's out there defending Penn State football, the core values to the core. And I'm texting her yo, delete that. I don't want you to start a war. We're fighting battles right now. But just to toll, it's hard when you're on social media, you're on Google or something like that, not even looking for it, and the article pops up with your name on it. I'm gonna want to read it. I want to see what they're saying about me. So when now I'm trying to stay away from it, and it pops up more, and honestly, the more productivity you have, the more your name's out there, the more articles, and then maybe there's a drop off in productivity. Now even more articles are being written. Where is he at? It does take a toll on you. It's hard to read negative stuff, like I said before, because we're probably some of the most critical people on ourselves. Everything I do, I'm trying to think about how can I improve it, whether that be on the football field or whether that just be in life. So now I have that added pressure on myself and go on social media and, someone's like, yo, you suck. I'm like, maybe I do suck a little bit now. So it's just little things like that.
I got an anecdotal story. So last season was my first year not playing football. I started a business with Sean Clifford. So I'm logged into Sean's Instagram. I'm DMing recruits that we want in the company. And you guys are getting real quiet because you know where I'm going with this. Sean Clifford's playing Purdue. This is what everybody wanted Sean's head. Sean literally, I cannot exaggerate this. He threw one incompletion to start the game. I turned my phone over, at least 26 notifications, DMs, threatening him. I'm like, what is going on? It's completely irrational. Nobody wants to do better than the people on the field who are pouring their heart and souls into being the best athletes they can be. It's a little bit ridiculous if you ask me.
I feel like most people don't realize the emotional effect that this game can have on you, especially when you're doing this every day. This is our life. So when you playing ball and you hearing all those negative comments, that's just added stress to what to your mind. So I feel like it's just hard to balance that when it's a lot. Especially Sean, he's strong for being able to handle all that.
Yeah, shout out Sean, man. And then to go win a Rose Bowl after that too, man.
Yeah.
And that legacy how he wanted to. I want to ask, obviously the gauntlet of the season is coming up, man. Not just O State, Maryland, the Michigans, the rest of the Big Ten that you got to face. How are you guys staying dialed in throughout that process? And what does a typical week look like for you guys in preparation?
I'll let you start that.
Just really taking it one day at a time. As for the week, Mondays, all the position groups get together on their own and watch film. So that's what we did today. The tight ends, receivers, QBs got together. I'm sure the O-line got together. We watch film on Mondays. Tuesdays are work days, full pads, compete every period. Wednesdays also work days, but really just going through every day, working like you're preparing for the Super Bowl Then Thursday and Fridays are really mental days. Then away games, Fridays we head on the plane, go to the hotel and stuff. Yeah, that's a typical week.
Yeah, I think the big thing is, Coach Franklin talks a lot about the 1-0 mentality. And being a young guy that came in, I didn't really kind of understand that. But I think the older I get, the more I realize how important that is. Because, when you're not doing so good, it's important. When you're doing good, it's important. We're on a winning streak right now. It's very easy to look ahead and think, if we keep on winning, we're going to do this and that and all this. You got to go 1 week at a time, one game at a time, one practice at a time, one play at a time. And I think that's really important, and I think that's something that, through our whole program, that's a big focus. Like, I was just talking with my friend Liam Clifford today, and I'm like, I couldn't tell you who we play next week.
No.
Like, I actually have no clue who we play because, like, we are so focused on this game, tomorrow's practice, and I think that's a big key to not let this gauntlet, as you mentioned, get to you or think about what we got coming down the road. The most important thing is beating Ohio State this week.
Yeah. Doc, I'll send this your way, but I think it's a point that deserves to be made. Coach Franklin, if he has one overarching strength, is his ability to get guys to be consistent and to instill a literal day-by-day process to success, and he gets guys to buy into it. Can you speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think his consistency is easy for him to get people consistent in the program because he himself is so consistent. You can't catch, like we said before, you can't catch Coach Franklin slipping, ever. This guy is always on point with everything he's saying. He's consistent. He's relaying the same messages. It gets to the point where, like, he says, the vets know what I'm about to say, and we can finish, like, 95% of his statements because he's so adamant about the process and so adamant about, what it takes to win. And I think, to your prior point about, being able to maintain that 1-0 mentality, I mean, it's working. We're 1-0 every week. We've been 1-0 every week. So when you have a formula that's working, why would you deviate from what's not? Why would you try to change and alter things? So that's what I'm excited about, for this game and then just for this team is because guys are remaining in the framework and understanding that you just have to do your job, your 111th on the field, and we'll secure a win.
I want to ask this, then we'll go back to the fans for some more questions, but on the outside looking in, there's no question about the magnitude of the game that Penn State football is going into. But with Coach Franklin, his process, and this 1-0 mentality, do you feel like for the most part, you're able to just stick in your routine and not let the moment get too big?
I'll say honestly, yes, because we've been, like you said, the 1-0 mentality, we've been focusing on just the team that we have that current week. And right now, we're focusing on Ohio State. And, like, I know for a fact this week, everybody knows it's a big game, it's a serious game, so it's just even adding more intentionality and just more consistency and just being more detailed in what we're doing. So I feel like it's just taking little steps to build us to Friday to prepare us by Saturday we'll be ready.